Hey y'all, welcome to another edition of Behind the Sign. Thanks for watching. So this particular story has to do, it's actually a couple of a double whammy, really. It's the coded locks that people put on their doors so they don't have to use a key to get in. I mean, you still have the key on there, but they use the code so it unlocks it. That way they don't have to carry keys around. So it has to do with that, and it has to do with breaking an entry, would you say? So I had this listing, and the sellers called me up one day and said, hey, we just got back into town and we can't get in our house. I'm like, what do you mean you can't get into your house? And they said, well, we didn't bring keys and the code isn't working. And I'm like, the code isn't working. They're going, yeah, we think it's the battery. We have a dead battery. I was like, oh, mercy. Okay. So I get in my car, I go over there, go to their house, use the lockbox, let them in the house. They change the battery, it works, we're good to go. So then, a couple weeks later, they call me again. Hey, can you let us in our house? I'm like, well, now what? And they said, it's not working again. So I don't know if it was the type of lock that they had, but they couldn't get in the house. Good thing it wasn't too far. It was probably about maybe like a 10-minute drive, so we were kind of good with that. They were in Guyton, I was in Guyton. So I go over there, I let them in, we get a good little chuckle out of it. Well, then we go on to time number 3. Yes, it happened again. This actually wasn't, well, I want to say it was probably about a month later. It wasn't as close time frame as the other one, so I'm not sure what the deal is with the batteries. So they call me up and say, hey, our daughter just got off the bus. She's trying to get in the house. She can't get in. The lock's not opening. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll be right to tell her I'll be there in 15 minutes. So I head over there. I open the lockbox, and there's no key. Yes, no key in the lockbox. So now we have no key in the lockbox, and we have a coded lock that's not working. Now, we had a showing that morning. So, of course, I'm thinking in my head, well, the agent must have taken it with them. Like, they didn't realize it. They stuck it in their pocket. They forgot to put it back into the lockbox. So, I'm calling that agent to find out if they had the key. Did they have it or did they leave it inside? So, I'm calling. No one's answering. Great. So not only is the agent not answering and there's no key in the lockbox and the coded lock doesn't work, but now seller's daughter, the one that I went to go let in the house because she just got off the school bus, has to go to the restroom, and we can't get in the house. So she's out there doing the potty dance. I'm like, okay, let me see. Is there I'm not a burglar, so I can't, or a locksmith or whatever. I can't open the lock. So I'm like, well, let me walk around the house. Maybe by chance there's a window open. Well, what there was. So surprising. So I call the sellers up and said, hey, this is what's going on. I went through the whole spiel with them on what's going on as their daughter is yelling in the background. And I'm like, do you care if I climb through your window? And so, of course, they're laughing. They're going, goodness gracious, I wish we could see this. They're like, no, go ahead. Whatever you got to do, go ahead and get in. So, I'm short. If you haven't met me, I'm 5'2". I don't have any height to me. Well, I can't get in the window. So now I'm going around the yard, around the house, trying to find a chair or some cinder blocks, something to be able to climb to get into this window. So, needless to say, I find a couple of things, I stack them up, and give the little girl my phone in case I hurt myself, break a hip, who knows. So I give her my phone to hold on to. I'm climbing in the window. Well, at this one point, because there's items on the other side of the window that I'm trying not to knock over and break. So I've got my feet dangling out the window. I have a little girl who's doing the potty dance, but at the same time laughing that she's going to pee her pants because she sees my feet hanging out the window. So, but that being said, I made it through the window without breaking anything and not breaking a hip. And I got the little girl in the house, and she took care of business. I called the parents and said, we're all good. I'm going to go ahead and go. She's going to get locked in the house, and they're like, okay, well, at this point, we're 20 minutes from home. We'll be there in a minute. So They called me that night and said, we have had it with this lock. We are done. They went and got rid of that lock and went back to using a key again. So as convenient as they can be, I guess you got to get super strong batteries, or this has probably been about 10 years, so maybe they're made a little differently now where the batteries last longer. But yeah, so that was my adventure of playing cat burglar, going in through a window. So I hope you enjoyed this edition of Behind the Sign. Make sure you like, share, ring the bell so you can get the next one. And I'll see you behind the sign.